like we did last year at this time, where me and Josh, no trades involved, folks. We're going mano e mano, the first 10 picks of the NFL draft. This year, I'm taking the odds. Josh is taking the evens because I wanted to give Josh his Cleveland Browns. A little bit of some spoilers may come today because me, Josh, and our colleague over at Voltage Live, Sean Fitzgerald, did release our 2025 Team NFL mock draft. Go check it out right now on VoltageLive.com. Partner, the Tennessee Titans, are on the clock right now, and they're on the clock Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Are you ready?
It is so obvious. I think they've already informed who you're going to say that he's going to be the number one quarterback or number one pick. And all I'm going to say is you.
You know, the guy who last week was streaming Fortnite and said that his number one favorite head coach in the NFL was Brian Callahan. The best running back in the NFL was Tony Pollard. Calvin Ridley was the best wide receiver in the National Football League. That guy, folks, is Miami of Florida quarterback Cam Ward. Who, listen, I'll be honest, Cam Ward in this year's draft is probably the number one pick. In last year's draft, in my opinion, he's probably like the fourth or fifth overall pick. He does not have an elite arm. He's good enough at the NFL level, but he has big playmaking ability. He's not afraid to throw it in tight windows. He's very mobile. But again, I think Cam Ward, out of all these quarterbacks, makes the less mistakes and has the most upside. That's what the Tennessee Titans see as well. So it is official. Cam Ward to the Tennessee Titans.
I believe, like I said, the Titans have already informed him that he's going to be the number one pick. I think I saw that from Adam Schefter. But once this pick is made, it puts the AFC South in a really interesting spot that I kind of want to get into a little bit before I get to the Browns here. And the reason I'm saying that is because think about this. You've got the Texans with CJ Stroud going into his third year. He had an amazing rookie season, but then had this sophomore slump. We don't know what's going to happen with the Indianapolis Colts, Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones. Trevor Lawrence, he hasn't lived up to being that number one pick that we all thought he was going to be with all this hype and whatnot. Only one playoff appearance and his third different head coach or something. And then, you got the Titans who ended up with the number one pick. They're going to have a rookie quarterback. They don't have a great wide receiver room, although Cam Ward seems to love what they have. Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears, I believe is their other running back. I don't know what to make of the AFC South. I know we'll get into division previews a little bit later, but the AFC South is going to be interesting to watch, but not for the same reason that, like, the NFC North is going to be interesting, or the NFC West, or I would even throw the AFC North in that discussion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I am sort of under the sentiment that I think it's Houston's division for the taking. Now, could Trevor Lawrence get back to what Trevor Lawrence was in Jacksonville contends? Maybe. Could Cam Ward shock the NFL and do it Commanders and was in the Tennessee Titans? Could they go out? I mean, let's be honest. They won 4 games last year. They could have won 8 if Will Levis wasn't their starting quarterback. So, could they do something? Sure. I think Cam Ward has good upside. But you're right. It's a very weird and interesting division.
Okay. So my hometown Cleveland Browns are on the clock at number 2. And all the mock drafts and all the experts are saying Travis Hunter, Travis Hunter, Travis Hunter, Travis Hunter. But fool me once, shame on me. Fool me. I think I screwed that up. I think it's fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. You aren't fooling me a third time, Cleveland Browns. You took Johnny Manziel with the 22nd pick in the 2014 NFL draft. You took Baker Mayfield, number 1 overall in the 2018 draft. So, with all that being said, I am not going with Travis Hunter. I am sticking to my guns until they go up to the stage and prove me wrong. I'm still going to say they take Shedeur Sanders out of Colorado. Like I said, there's been a lot of mixed reviews about where Shedeur could go because it started out he's going to be the number 1 pick. Then it turned into he could go 2 or 3 to the Browns. Then it turned into is he going to be top 10 and go to the Saints at 9? Now there's a possibility he could fall out of the first round if Pittsburgh doesn't take him. And I get it.
I think if he's there at 21, Pittsburgh's taking him.
I would agree. And I get it. He's not quite as mobile or athletic as Cam Ward. He's more of a pocket passer. But the Browns have missed and whiffed on the quarterback position so many times. I can't even list them all. It's kind of ridiculous. But you can't change the stripes on a zebra. You can't just take the spots off a jaguar or a leopard, however the saying goes. I don't care. Like, the Browns have shown me that they have a history of taking quarterbacks like Shedeur Sanders. I'm not saying that Shedeur is like Baker or Johnny Manziel, but he fits into that high-profile, I don't want to say Hollywood type quarterback, but you kind of get what I mean?
No, I don't. I don't see the comparison at all. I think Shedeur is completely separate from Baker, and I think he's completely separate from Johnny. I think Baker and Johnny had a little bit more alike because of their off-the-field issues. Baker getting tackled by the police. Johnny is now doing the money side. Shedeur's got none of that. Shedeur's baggage is the fact that he is the son of Deion Sanders.
And I think what you just said is the connection that maybe I'm just making it in my own head and it's not really there, but like in my head, it's one of those connections that makes sense.
So I've said this all along. You know my take on Travis Hunter. I think if he was in a draft that was filled with great prospects, I don't think he'd be the number 2 pick in the draft. I don't view him as a shutdown corner or as this all-time elite wide receiver. I could be wrong on both fronts, and he's going to have to be one of those, preferably an all-great wide receiver, because that matters more, in my opinion, than a defensive back to be worth, especially the number 2 overall pick in the draft. But if the Browns are absolutely in love with Shedeur Sanders, they would take him at 2. I don't understand the logic of, we can take Travis Hunter here and then we're going to trade up for Shedeur because we know that the Giants aren't going to take him at 3 and we could slide in front of Pittsburgh. You don't know that. And so having the proven commodity there at number 2, would it be great to get Travis Hunter? Sure, but you obviously need the quarterback to be a sure thing, which is why I don't think the Browns are targeting Shedeur Sanders at all. I'm going to trust all the reporting on this. I think it is a lock. Travis Hunter goes number 2.
So I'll say it like this. It's not a knock against Travis Hunter by any stretch. It's more, I'm basing this off of the Browns' history. They've shown me that they'll take I get it. Shedeur doesn't have that same type of baggage, like you said, but he fits into that high-profile quarterback because he's connected to Deion Sanders, obviously. So, again, maybe this is just me making up a storyline that doesn't really exist, but I'm going with it anyway.
So you have Shedeur going number 2 to Cleveland, which puts the New York Giants on the clock at number 3. And if this is the scenario that plays out, I think they will run to the podium and select Travis Hunter. I think that the Giants, that would be their number 1 player that they want in the draft because they need a wide receiver and they need a DB. They don't need Abdul Carter, though he'd be nice to have along with Dexter Lawrence and you got Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns as well in that defensive line. But we all know they need another wide receiver to complement Malik Neighbors, and they need a number one defensive back. Travis Hunter fits that profile. I think the fact that Joe Shane and Brian Dable, they brought in Russell Wilson to start. They brought in Jameis Winston to back up. I don't think there is a quarterback controversy there. I think they made that move because they know they have to win this year or they're both going to be fired. They're not going to put their trust in the hands of a quarterback that high in the draft. They may get 1 second round or they may trade back in later in the first round, but they're not going quarterback at 3 here. I think they will take Travis Hunter.
So with the New England Patriots at 4, I could go with Abdul Carter. That would certainly help their defensive line. But if you watched Patriots games last season, you saw how often Drake May ended up on the ground. That Patriots offensive line was not very good. And if you know anything about Mike Vrabel from his time in Tennessee as their head coach, you're going to need a strong offensive line. And so I'm going to help the Patriots improve that by taking Will Campbell, the offensive tackle, out of LSU. I think he comes right in and fills a big hole for that Patriots offensive line because, again, like I just said, countless times Drake May did not have time to look for his wide receivers because he instantly had linebackers, defensive linemen in his face. And if you've got a guy like Stephon Diggs, who I still feel is a top wide receiver in the NFL, you need time to actually get him the ball. How are you going to do that if you keep ending up on the ground?
Well, I agree with you. And while I think they're not going to have a choice of Abdul Carter, because I think he's going to be gone at 3 to the Giants once Travis Hunter goes number 2 to Cleveland. If Abdul Carter is there at number 4, New England is absolutely going to take him. They are in position where they can take the best player available. You're saying that they don't really need defensive line help. Josh, do you know the New England Patriots last year had the least amount of sacks in pro football last year? They did not get the quarterback on the ground. Yes, they added Milton Williams from the Philadelphia Eagles, which will help on the interior, but they need an outside defensive end pass rush, a guy who can play stand-up linebacker, a guy who can rush from the edge, very similar to one Micah Parsons for the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, I agree with you. Mike Vrabel wants a strong offensive line. He also wants a strong defensive line, and he likes football players, and he likes versatility. So I actually agree with you that I think Will Campbell will be the pick, but that's because I think Abdul Carter is not going to be there. If Abdul Carter is there, that's who New England will take.
So let me rephrase a little bit. They definitely need help on the defensive line. I agree with you. But I think offensive line is a little bit more of a priority for them right now. Granted,
I just think if Abdul Carter's there, you can't pass on him.
Oh, dreading rumors of on deck heating up again, courtesy of Jerry Boy himself. I'd link, but don't want to be flagged for spam. Oh, that's fun.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Fitz, if you want, we can send you a link and you can join the show. We're doing our mock draft right now. We're on number 5 with the Jaguars.
We are on number 5. So if you're not taking Abdul Carter at 4, Jacksonville's taking him at 5. If Abdul Carter wasn't there, they'd go Mason Graham, the defense tackle out of Michigan. There is no way he slips down past 5, in my opinion. Jacksonville is an absolute stud. He absolutely is just an incredible player for a team that needs a lot of help on the defense side of the ball. I know they need offensive line help, obviously, for Trevor Lawrence. They need another wide receiver, obviously, for Trevor Lawrence. But I like Abdul Carter here at number 5.
Okay. By the way, it sounds like Fitz is going to be joining in about 10 minutes or so. So we'll bring him on and we'll either review our mock draft or he'll help us finish it off. But we are on pick number 6 right now. If Shador is there, I could see a scenario where the Raiders pull the trigger, even though they traded for Geno. But I don't think that's going to be the case. And then instead, given that Pete Carroll is there, and we know how much he loved to run the ball when he was with the Seahawks, Ashton Genty, the running back out of Boise State.
There you go.
It totally makes sense for the Raiders. They've always wanted to be a run-first team. They had a solid running back with Josh Jacobs. We've seen what he's done since he's gone to Green Bay. And on the flip side, the Raiders' run game has just gone like this. Down. And in a division where you've got the Broncos on the rise now. The Chiefs are obviously the Chiefs. The Chargers look like they're going to be a force. You got to make sure you can run the ball, keep the potent offenses that I just mentioned on the sidelines. How are you going to do that if you don't have a number one running back? So that's why I go grab Ashton Genty. Establish that run game. Try and take some of the air out of the ball. Keep Mahomes on the sideline. Keep Bo Nix on the sideline. Herbert. Again, I get that the Chargers aren't necessarily like a throw-first, potent offense type of thing, but you know what I'm trying to say there.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there.
I love this.
All right, we'll address that later. So let's go to the Jets now at number 7. So they have a new head coach. His name is Aaron Glenn. And where did Aaron Glenn come from, Mr. Unger?
The Detroit Lions.
Yes, he did. And refresh my memory. Do you remember in 2021 who the Detroit Lions' first pick was in the Dan Campbell, Aaron Glenn regime?
That wasn't Jahmyr Gibbs.
No, it wasn't. It was Penei Sewell.
That's right, yeah.
The offensive lineman from Oregon. And so there's thoughts out there the Jets could take another corner. Maybe they move on from Sauce Gardner. Maybe this is where Will Johnson from Michigan goes. Maybe they take Mason Graham from Michigan if he's there, the defensive lineman. I think the New York Jets take, and I'm going to butcher this name, Amadi Menabu, the offensive tackle, the right tackle from Missouri. They already took the left tackle last year out of Penn State. Morgan Moses is now gone at right tackle. Aaron Glenn is going to boost the Jets' offensive line for Justin Fields or even another potential quarterback. Potentially they move up or they take one later on in the draft. This kid's got excellent athleticism for a 313-pounder.
So I thought you were going to go with the guy you had the Dolphins training up for in our mock draft on Voltage Live. Barron, I'm not sure how you say his first name.
Jahad.
Huh?
Jahad
Barron. Based on how you were setting it up out of Alabama, I thought that's for sure where you were going.
Well, he's out of Texas. He's not out of Alabama, but.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Out of Texas. My bad. But anyway, I have the Carolina Panthers, and we saw Bryce Young start to put it together towards the end of the last season. And I don't know if he's going to live up to being the number 1 overall pick, but I do think he's going to become a solid quarterback. But there were times where he was getting flushed out of the pocket and he didn't have a security blanket to throw to. Well, I'm going to give him his security blanket because with the 8th pick out of Penn State, the tight end, Tyler Warren, you saw how often Penn State went to him offensively. And I think Bryce Young would benefit greatly from him. Like I said, Tyler Warren could become that security blanket for him. It's 3rd and 2. Bryce Young, go right to Tyler Warren.
Yeah, I think Tyler Warren's going to be maybe not as great of a pass catcher as Brock Bowers, but I think very similar. And I also think he's a better blocker than Bowers was coming out of Georgia.
Yeah. And like I said, you saw how many times Penn State was in trouble and Drew Aller went to Tyler Warren. I think it's going to be a similar situation with Bryce Young.
So I don't mind that pick at all. I think that's a smart pick for Carolina. And their NFC South rivals at number 9, the New Orleans Saints, I think are in the toughest position of anybody. One of the reasons is they have a hole at literally every single point on their roster. You can make a case, including running back, because Alvin Kamara is getting up there in years. I don't see one position group of strength where I go, okay, they're settled there. And with this Derek Carr shoulder injury now, who knows? He may be out for the year. So who knows what the heck is going to happen when it comes to the Saints. They could trade back and get more picks. They could go wide receiver. They could go offensive line. They could go anywhere. They lost Marshawn Lattimore after trading him with the trade deadline to the Commanders. So, you know what? I don't know. I think they could certainly go with Ted McMillan, the wide receiver out of Arizona, who's a very controversial prospect because there's some video floating around out there that he said way back in high school that he didn't love football. There's dispute of when that video came out, obviously. But I'm going to do a dart throw here. Will Johnson, the cornerback out of Michigan, he's been flying up people's draft boards. And to me, if you're going to get an impact player, I know Kellen Moore's the new head coach. I know he's an offensive mind. I don't know if he's going to be in love with any of these players outside of Warren. I think if Warren was there, the Saints would certainly take him. I just feel like they're going to probably go best player available. And like you've been saying with the Browns, the Saints' history says they're probably going to draft defense.
Yeah. So that puts me on the clock with the Bears at number 10. And I'm going to go off of what you did in our mock draft on Voltage. Because so many times last season, the Bears were burned defensively on the back end. You need, in a conference with Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels, whatever Minnesota's going to throw at you, Green Bay with Jordan Love, Seattle, I think, is going to become more of a throwing offense with Sam Darnold, and the Rams, Arizona for that matter. You got to have a strong back end of the defense. And what's a better defense to go after than the Georgia Bulldogs? Malachi starts at safety from Georgia. It makes too much sense.
Yeah, there's some thoughts here. The Bears could go defensive line, which I could see. They could also go left tackle, but I don't know if the value is going to be there at 10. That's sort of the one weakness in their offensive line. But we know Ben Johnson and his pedigree, again, coming from Detroit. I think they're in a position where they could take the best player available. I will say, Josh, that if Ashton Gentry does not go to the Las Vegas Raiders at 6, he would be the pick here, I think, for the Bears at 10, as Ben Johnson would try to build a Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery-esque backfield with Gentry and DeAndre Swift.
I could definitely see that being a possibility for sure. It would be really fun then to see those two teams play each other because it'd be like looking at a mirror.
Can't wait for Fitz to come on here and give his take on Shedeur Sanders because, spoiler alert, he does not like Shedeur Sanders.
No.
So he said he'll be on here in 3 to 4 minutes. I'll tell you, outside of the Shedeur pick, which again I don't think it's going to be, but I think it's more likely to happen. I don't see a world where Abdul Carter is there for and New England doesn't take him. That's just hard for me to believe.
Right. And like I said, I understand that the Patriots were not good at rushing the passer, but if again, go back and watch the Patriots offensively. More often than not, Drake May was on his backside.
Oh, he absolutely was. But I think you're thinking with Vrabel, even though he's a defensive coach, Vrabel by toughness is going to make that offensive line better. And I think the value there for them if Carter's there, because Campbell's more considered a guard as opposed to a tackle in the NFL, even though he played tackle in college. A lot of people say he's got short arms to play tackle in the NFL. So they're in a very interesting situation. I will say, I'm going to say this here as we're waiting for Fitz. I think overall in this draft, there's a lot of rumors coming out, like there always is the last couple days, that there's going to be a lot of trades to be made. I actually think we're going to see a very limited amount of trades in this first round. I don't think it's going to be a very active first round. I do think the Saints are a candidate to trade back. I think Denver at 20 is actually a candidate to trade back if somebody wants to jump in front of Pittsburgh and get a quarterback. And I think the other one to trade back, hold on, Fitz, I'm going to send you the link right here. Let's paste this in right here. Go ahead
So
and
actually, I want to talk about the Broncos super quick since you just brought them up.
go ahead.
I'm very interested in what Denver's going to do, especially if they stay at number 20. In our Voltage Live mock draft, I actually have them taking the second running back off the board, and that's Omarion Hampton out of North Carolina. And the reason I have the Broncos doing that is because we saw Bo Nix take that big step and get the Broncos into the playoffs, which I correctly predicted. Thank you very much. And I think in order for Bo Nix to continue making those next steps, you want to continue surrounding him with weapons. And we saw when Drew Brees had success with Sean Payton in New Orleans, it wasn't just because he had a strong group of receivers around him. It was because they were able to develop a running game, whether it was with Reggie Bush during that Super Bowl run in 2009 or when they had Alvin Kamara and they were constantly in the playoffs. So it just made sense for me to have them draft a running back and kind of have Sean Payne develop that New Orleans type of offense. For
Sean Payton's history, though, is he doesn't take running backs. And his history is also he doesn't take receivers. Sean Payton's history is he's going to take defense and he's going to use his lesser picks, third, fourth, fifth round, on skill position players and build them up with his coaching. That's why I can even see a team like Houston moving up 5 spots from 25 to 20, get their left tackle, and for Denver to trade back.
And there's Fitz. All right, so Fitz, I know you've been watching our mock draft.
I was watching for a little bit, but I saw the frickin' Jerry Jones news come in. I'm like, oh boy, here we freaking go again. Because I know that Bruce has doubled and tripled down, and I respect the heck out of Bruce. I don't know how that would sit with Joe Flacco, given he came back with a very incentive-laden deal. But I know that you and I have very differing opinions on Shedeur. I want to correct the record for something, Josh. If they don't take him in the top 20 picks, so if Shedeur slides all the way to end round 1 or round 2, there's a difference there with the gut punch sense that I have because the Browns have hurt me so much. But if it's in anywhere in that top 10, top 15, it will not work out because he'll have a bloated ego.
Okay, so again, Fitz, let me just explain my reasoning. And maybe this is just me making up a connection in my mind, but knowing the Browns' history, I'm going to use the saying again, but it's fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. The Browns took Johnny Manziel, number 20.
Under Ray Farmer. And would you say that Andrew Berry's a much smarter, usually, GM than Ray Farmer? Yes or no question only.
No. Actually, I would say no.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, though, Fitz. Who were the owners when the Browns took Johnny? Let me think. Oh, that's right. Jimmy and Dee Haslam. Who were the owners when the Browns drafted Baker Mayfield number 1 overall? Let me think. Oh, yeah, the Haslams.
We should still have him, by the way.
That I agree with. But, again, I understand that Shador does not have the same off-field drama.
It's not even that. It's literally just, it's rare with the quarterback prospects. It's usually them in particular. It's happened with Manziel back in February of 14 of his draft year. Shador went off in early March of this year. And then in 2017, it was, coming down to Trubisky and Garrett. Trubisky started going off either in late March or early April. And every time, it's rare for this little sixth sense of mine to go off in terms of the draft. It's almost exclusively to games. But when it comes to quarterbacks, for the most part, that's where it usually hits with draft picks. It has been 100% correct so far among one or two other quarterbacks like Kaiser, etc. So it's like, oh, I like just the fact that it goes off for me. It's like I've been hurt enough where it's like I'm almost like seeing the future. That's how I view it. Because here's a crazier thing. I've crazy theory time, real quick, folks.
See,
there are moments where I literally like have a dream or a daydream like months in advance.
Okay.
It's like a 30-second snippet of something that is going to happen, and then it happens. And it's happened like frequently the last like 5, 7, 8 years. I forget. But it's been going on at least since around high school. So it's like this is kind of like maybe it's like that premonition kind of sense, So it's like maybe me speaking out there, it's like, hey, I've been right on this stuff in the past. Let's avoid this, shall we?
So, Fitz, again, maybe it's just me making up a connection.
I think it's you making it up. I'm not throwing you down. I get where you're coming from. I just think the Browns are smarter than to that. And especially, with the fact that Garrett, with what he was hinting back when he signed his extension, I think that really played a big role into either, assuming that Bruce's double down, triple down does not happen, with Flacco at the very least. I mean, that's still a massive upgrade. Like, he's very respected in that locker room.
Oh,
that
stop.
Really
it's not a massive upgrade.
Not really.
Over Deshaun Watson, yes.
It's not a massive upgrade. Flacco went on a magic carpet ride 2 years ago. They got destroyed, but was it 45-14? You're winning 4 games next year, Fitz.
Hey, I didn't say that Flacco was going to start the entire season, did I?
Oh, no. Yeah, but what are you going to do? You're going to bring in Jalen Milroe and let him sit?
No. Jalen Milroe is the opposite quarterback that you want, because then you'd have to revert back to the system that didn't work last year that would fit more of the strength.
Well,
that's where Milroe is just, he played poorly against
Jalen Milroe is the quarterback they absolutely want. I'm telling you right now, they're going to trade up one spot with my Philadelphia Eagles at 32, and they're taking Jalen Milroe.
If they do, I'm going to be disappointed because he has got punch written all over him.
See, I disagree.
If I'm wrong, I am wrong. But if I am right, I'm going to be laughing my butt off in about 10 years.
Sorry, I had to sit here and wait for the perfect time. I let you guys have your time.
I know.
Wait, Brandon.
Well, where were we at in the mock draft? Because let's catch up.
So we're done. So we got through. The only thing that we were doing was our top 10. So we got through it. So I'll recap it for you. Obviously, Cam Ward goes 1. Josh had Shador going 2. So we went back and forth. Josh took the evens. I took the odds. At 3 at that point, because Shador goes to Cleveland, I had the Giants taking Travis Hunter. At 4, he has New England taking Will Campbell. So I think at 5, Jacksonville steals Abdul Carter.
Oh, they absolutely would. I mean, given their just draft history too. I mean, they've done it in the past with other defensive players. That would be like, oh my God. That I know that Liam Cohen's, an offensive guy, but that would be Jacksonville.
I don't see their first pick being offensive either. I think if
I doubt they would take Gianti, but again, they've surprised us in the past with Bortles. So it's
I think they take Mason Graham if Carter's not there from Michigan.
Yeah. I mean, that's the easy slam dunk pick with a blue chipper.
So, by the way, the reason I had Will Campbell to the Patriots, I know that their defense.
I agree with you on that. I agree. It's a safe pick. And honestly, like the whole thing about his arms, like Joe Thomas had that same concern. It's like, look at him. He's in the Hall of
Fame. Here's my argument, though. If Carter's there, they pass the offensive lineman. They'll take Carter.
Remember what I sent you, Brandon? I just sent this to you back last year. Like it was like November, December, I want to say. Just Drake May's stats at some point after over a certain number of starts, he actually started to look good. So if you can protect him, I don't know.
But here's the thing.
That's exactly my reason.
But here's what I was also telling Fitz that nobody seemed to realize. They were least in the NFL last year in sacks.
Oh,
they
couldn't get and Vrabel being the defensive guy. Oh, dude, that's a conundrum.
With Vrabel being the defensive guy, he's going to say
the big thing is going to be what the Giants do. Assuming that the Browns are to stick with Hunter, and honestly, I'm just telling you. Hold on. Before you go, they're not. I'm telling everybody anything that you think is coming out of Berea, I would just say don't believe it. Just don't believe it until they're up on the draft stage. Literally, they will send out smoke screens like the wazoo, and I'm just vaguely mentioning it like that.
So here's what
that's why I'm not 100% sold on them taking Travis Hunter.
So here's what I personally believe. I think the draft starts at 4. I think the first 3 picks are locked in. I think it goes Cam, Travis, Carter.
Yeah. I think that's where it goes too. And I actually want to direct a question at Josh, not to debate. Like, if the Titans were number 2, would you, and the Browns took Cam Ward, would you have the Titans selecting Shedeur Sanders? I'm curious.
I probably would, because there were so many games last season that they could have won if Will Levis was actually like a decent quarterback. Like there were go back and watch the Jets game, for example. They had so many opportunities to win that game, but they couldn't because Will Levis forgot how to play quarterback.
Yeah, so aren't you concerned about his sack problem being Shedeur? Because he took plenty. He took 96.
He also didn't have an offensive line at Colorado and was running for his life.
That is true, but it's just the fact that he hangs onto the ball too much, that's another telltale sign for me. It's that's something that's very hard to get out of quarterbacks for the most part, and I don't know if he's kind of the guy who would be able to do that. There are certain guys where it's you kind of get a feeling with them, and then there's ones that you don't, and that's where it's also with Shedeur. It's he just holds onto the ball and just tries, not to make a direct comparison to Mansell, but just holding onto the ball, not getting rid of the ball, just has to play a little faster.